So then tell me about last year. So what was the perspective from Wudang? Did at some point, maybe February, March, every time you started getting cancellations, people stopped coming? What did it start to look like from Wudang's
Well,
perspective?
from Wudang is really crazy because I remember we got the first word from the local government that students who are traveling for Wuhan have to stop or they have to go now. And we got word the day of our New Year's celebration. I think it was January 28th,
Right.
when
Yeah.
January 26th, 28th.
Yeah.
They're like, a couple days before New Year's, they're like, oh, don't go outside, start getting masks. And we're like, what's going on? They're like, oh, there was someone sick in Wuhan. And we're like, oh, okay. And not too big of a deal. We're thinking, we overreact now so we don't have to later. And so we go about getting our supplies for New Year. We're going to have our party with the school. Luckily, we're always by ourselves anyway. We're kind of out, have our isolated little area. Um, but yeah, right away, they're like, everything's shutting down. You can't have this and this, and no one can leave, no one can come. And it wasn't really an issue about students coming. Luckily, during that time of year, it does slow down.
Mm.
Like right now, like this time of year, it is slow. So there wasn't that many coming, but there was a lot of students who wanted to leave. And that was actually a bigger issue because we kind of put the notice out. We said, hey, everyone who's planning on coming, just put it on hold for a moment. And everyone kind of knew what was happening. So people were sending us messages more often and trying to respond to them and say, yeah, just wait patiently. We'll see. But the big thing was getting the people we had here back home. The ones that wanted to leave that weren't here long term,
Yeah.
we had an Italian student who had to be, he drove, like the embassy helped him connect with a taxi driver to drive him from Wudang to Beijing.
Wow.
And get on a flight directly.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it was, it was crazy because there was no trains, there was no flights out of Wudang. So that was a big thing. And
Yeah.
because we're the only school that was stayed open during the holiday, and the only place that had foreigners, because most people traveled home, or because of that, the government was very, very close with us and like communicating and trying to get us supplies if we needed things, and
Mm.
making sure that we were maintaining a nice safe perimeter, because that's the hot spot. If one of us are traveling, we had a couple students who just came through Wuhan to get to the school, so they were being protective and helpful, which was nice. It was actually very, very well done. But yeah, we had to do things like with the spray bottle and spray the school down.
Wow.
Me and the other coach, we only had two coaches here. Sifu's family was gone. The staff was gone. It was just us and the cook. And so it was very crazy. We had a lot of responsibility for a short time. And well, it felt like forever. And we had to spray the school down at the doorways and take pictures of it every day, twice a day, and send the pictures to the local government to show, hey, we know we're doing our
Yeah.
work.
My
So
gosh.
yeah, it was a very busy time. Um,
And were you in your mind thinking, okay, people will be back within a few months? Was there a point in 2020 when you was people aren't coming
yeah,
back for a long time?
well, the first like month, the first couple of weeks, it was just like, everyone take care. We're going into serious lockdown. They're really gonna try to cut this thing off right at the beginning. We had the street sweepers that go by every morning. You could hear them go by in town because they play the ice cream truck music kind of.
Mm.
And but they were spraying the streets with alcohol and every day, and you could smell it from forever away. You had the fumigators going down the streets and all these checkpoints and everything, and um, trying to make it so we were like group buying groceries, so one person would go and buy all these huge groceries and bring back. And it was like, yeah, everyone just hold on till March. Just hold on till March. We'll know by then for sure. And then it was like, well, maybe the summer's better. And so yeah, it just kind of kept being that until I remember the summer, when we opened the school, and everyone started coming back in April. Pretty soon, actually, pretty quickly. The locals who could come back.
Yeah.
And then the traditional class came back slowly, and we started going about normal. And then very quickly we started having Chinese students in May and June. May about towards the end of May, I think. And then by June, yeah, we were starting the summer camp, but only for Chinese citizens, for people within mainland China.
Yeah.
And we had some people come from Taiwan. We had people come from far parts of China to come. And it wasn't as big as it usually was, but I was like, oh, we're back to normal. But then I was like, oh, but we're definitely not having foreign students come back for a while. By the time we got to summer, I was like, yeah, probably this year, probably this whole year.
And so have there been any subsequent lockdowns in China? Has it been open since April, and that Chinese citizens and nationals have been able to come to you and train as normal?
I mean, everything's been normal. I say people were able to come back in May, at the end of May and June, was because when you traveled, before you traveled, we all had the QR code that, kind of showed that you weren't in any hot spots, any high risk areas. And we were issued like an app that, not, but we downloaded the app that we could do, because I did some travel as well, and they would check that, and it was always fine. And then the thing is, like, you go out and, like, I mean, just really until, I'm trying to think of an actual day because it's hard to tell. Even when the lockdown broke off, I'm so used to my life at the school that I don't need to go out for anything.
Yeah.
So, like, I remember it was like August or September. It was starting to get cold, basically. And I was like, I can still count the number of times I've left the school.
Yeah.
It was crazy because I don't need to anyway. Like, it's kind of my habit as well. But it was very strange. The first time I left, we went from the old school to the new school to pick up supplies and bring them back. And I rode in Sifu's car, and I was like, this is the first time I've left the school this year. And I was like, this is wild. It's been 3 months,
Yeah.
Um,
And you've just had
yeah.
Chinese New Year.
Right.
That felt different to previous Chinese years. Has it looked different to being in
Oh,
China
yeah.
celebrating New Year?
So to tie that together with the last question too, is just that the good thing about here is everyone just follows the guidelines. Like they said wear a mask, and people are wearing 3 masks. No, not really, but I mean, like, everyone is doing their job. And I got on a bus, and someone had the mask over the nose, and the bus driver pulled over and says, please put on your mask, or or don't be on the bus. And because the bus is free for all the elderly. So the bus is primarily transportation for elderly. And so, yeah, I mean, like, everywhere we did temperature checks everywhere we went. When we went to the supermarkets, everyone keeps their mask on. Social distancing is a difficult thing in China, in a lot of places with the population density. So everyone really steps up their game for that, and for mask wearing. And that was always really, really good. People were really careful, washing hands and everything, really nice. And then New Year's comes, and I already know before New Year's gets here, because we're a couple months ago, we're pretty relaxed again. Everyone's got a mask in their pocket. Anyone can put a mask on at any moment, but a lot of people are wearing it not with them most of the time. I took a video going down the market and posted online a while back, and just like 3-4 weeks ago, and you walk down the street and it's starting to get busy, and there's about 80% of people have a mask on, like, the proper way. So no, they're really good about it, even though we haven't had no one said you need to wear a mask for a while now. Then New Year's comes, and they just recently put in, I knew this would happen because it's the biggest migration of the world. And they said, oh, you guys no one can travel. And if you travel, you have to do the test. And then the higher government came down and said, actually, you don't need to follow that. If you guys need to travel, just be safe, And so people are really conscious of it. And it's definitely more quiet than it has been in previous years, but not incredibly so. Like, everything's still open. The markets are running. I've been going to family dinners with over 10 people or anything like that. But there is, like, that kind of, like, no one's putting themselves in a high risk position. Like, people aren't traveling outside of their circles more than they need to, which is nice.
Yeah. Okay. And then you talked about, sorry.
No, yeah, go ahead.
So So when do you think you'll next see foreigners back in Wudang?
I have no comment. I can't jinx it. No, I do think that right now they're saying that we can't have new students until first, and that means even our students coming back. But that's just because they want the Chinese holiday to not get too much crossover between different provinces and things like that. They want people to kind of go slowly. So travel is open, like you can still get tickets within China. So that'll open up pretty quickly. For international, it's really just dependent on what's happening in the rest of the world. And it's really hard for me to I don't know if I even feel comfortable estimating anymore because, you know, polls just do the wrong thing. You know, you ask someone, people get excited about traveling, so people start traveling, and then same thing happens. So I would hope come spring, come warm weather, with the vaccinations going out, with people getting these bubbles of low risk coming up and, you know, starting to get a handle of it. And people are starting to get more used to it. And these safety precautions they're going to start to become regular
Yeah.
for select areas like airports and, you know, things like this, which I think makes sense anyway. You know, the
Yeah.
biggest danger to a civilization like we have today is a biological disease, because it's the hardest thing to do anything about, you know,
Sure.
the way we live now. So it makes sense to me. I think there won't be a normal like before, but there will be a normal, I think, this year.
Yeah.